Hello Summoners and welcome back to another ProGuides Best Champion to Main, now in patch 12.5. The champions that we pick for this series are strong picks with high performance, but have low ban rates and are unlikely to get nerfed anytime soon. They are reliable for climbing and are worth investing your time in. We also have a series that covers most broken contested picks in each role, so be sure that you're subbed to the channel so you don't miss out when we post those as well. We'll start things out in the top lane with Shen. Despite being labeled a tank, he plays pretty much the same as any bruiser would. Your main goal is beating up your lane opponent early, establishing a lead that makes you a strong split pushing threat later on into the game. To that end, you'll want to run Ignite on Shen. A lot of people think that TP just makes sense because you can just ult to the bot lane and then just TP right back into the lane without missing much CS, but trust me, an extra combat sum is much better on such a strong duelist, and TP flanking with Shen is pretty lackluster later on. Now with all that said, you really want to plant yourself in a side lane later on. You should almost always be splitting, using your ultimate to join fights rather than just grouping up and trying to frontline. The basic and easy to pull off strategy will lead you to pretty much always having better macro than the other team. If you're tired of being stuck in your current elo, the first step to climbing is fixing your champion pool. That's why we make these videos, so you can find the right champion or champs for you. After you decide on what you're going to play, you then have to learn how to play it correctly. It can take many games to learn a new champion, but you don't have to spend days or weeks doing it alone. Our top tier coaches over at ProGuides.com can help you figure out exactly what you need to work on. They're available 24/7, so it's never really a bad time to come try one out. I promise there's at least one that specializes in exactly what you're looking for. These guys have spent years reaching the top of the ladder, so why wouldn't you want to steal all their solo queue tips and tricks? Find a link to our website down in the description box below, and now let's get back on topic, shall we? Next up is Cassiopeia. While most AP champions are suffering in the top lane due to the better anti-magic options that came with the bruiser item changes, she's doing just fine. That's because anti-magic really just counters burst champions. Cass has to sustain damage to win extended fights, it just takes a little bit more time now. Her kit is just inherently too good against bruisers that you end up against top lane. Her Q's movement speed allows you to kite in and out of fights super well. Even mobile champions like Riven and Camille struggle to reach you, with your W's grounding effect preventing them from ever closing the gap on you. The one matchup that Cass actually kinda struggles with is Graves, so if you plan on locking her in, make sure you ban him out. Our final top laner today is Quinn. She's been performing super well since her recent buffs, but remains one of the lesser played top laners, so take advantage of her before everybody else starts to catch on. Like with most ranged top laners, Quinn is a massive bully, able to harass her opponents constantly from level 1 onwards. But she has two major advantages that makes her way better than other ranged champions. For one, she has two very strong disengage tools with her Q and E that prevent your opponent from ever going in for a trade. The other bigger advantage is that she can always use her lead to affect the map much earlier on than other champions thanks to her ultimate. Even with big leads, most other ranged top laners are still stuck on the top lane island, helpless to affect the rest of the map till much later on into the game. But with Quinn, you can roam to mid or even bot lane and get back to top lane without missing much CS. Taking things into the jungle, our first pick is RekSai. She's been at the very top of the best performing junglers for months now, being the best pick for early game aggression in the role, but surprisingly, she's so rarely contested. This is honestly pretty surprising to me, given the fact that the meta is so early game focused, with most games being pretty much decided by the first 10 or 15 minutes or so. Anyway, her strength comes from how hard it is to play against her ganks. Being able to tunnel over walls means that she can come from any angle, so laners can never really fully ward against her. There's always at least one uncovered way that you can strike from. She does fall off in a sense that she's pretty bad in 5v5s, but your goal is to close out the game before it even reaches that point. Next up, we have Nocturne. As a champion that sits right between being an assassin and a bruiser, he's really thriving thanks to the bruiser item changes. He can snowball a lot harder and is actually rewarded for building into more damage as opposed to before when he would just usually go for a couple of tank items at the end of his build. While Nocturne is a lot more of a farm heavy champion, since he only generally ganks with his ultimate up, he's by no means an easy champion to bully. Even strong early duelists like Shen and RekSai don't have it in them to fight him, so you can safely farm up without the risk of being pushed off your own camps. Our last jungler for today is Volabear. He's been slowly trending upwards over the past few patches, with the last round of buffs that he got pushing him up to being one of the higher win rate picks in both the top and jungle. That extra sticking power and shielding really seems to be making quite the difference. Our rune setup that we gave is all about having more damage for winning skirmishes, but if you do feel like you're just going to be able to make picks better, you should go for Predator instead. That's actually what they run over in Korea, since they have more aggressive, pick-oriented playstyle in solo queue. Next up, we'll be looking at some mid laners, starting with Annie. Sometimes simple is best, and she's a pretty good case for that. Having such an easy to execute kit means they can focus on the overarching things in League, like wave management and macro, without also having to concentrate on having perfect mechanics. This makes her a pick that anybody can pick up without needing 20 or 30 games to learn how to actually use the champion. Her laning phase is super safe, with little to no losing matchups in the current meta. The second that you hit 6, you're pretty much fully online. Having both a stun and insane burst damage means that all you really need is a magic penetration from sorcerer shoes to be able to 100 to 0 squishy targets. If you want something a little bit more complex, maybe you should give NiKo a try. She's able to blow up a single target or fight in skirmishes and team fights. She even works as a split pusher, and she does all that without falling into the cliche of being a jack of all trades. She's actually good at it all. There are also a number of different ways to build her. For example, if you purely want to assassinate squishy targets, you can go for Ludens for maximum one-shot ability. If you're actually engaging the fights, you can pick up Azanias as your second item. She works well with any mix of damage and durability items depending on what you need more for your games. Our third mid laner is ChoGath with an interesting new build that seems to be doing pretty well. Instead of going for the typical pure AP nuke or Everfrost into full tank, the items that you go for here will turn you into an AP bruiser. That way you don't get melted in team fights, but you also have plenty of damage for one-shotting squishies that you can catch out with your Q. It's also worth noting that this build utilizes Electrocute, giving you really powerful trading in lane, even when just passively splashing your foe with E while hitting minions. While Tank Cho is still plenty strong, playing him more as an AP bruiser definitely feels a little bit better. It's a lot more fun, since you're going to be able to actually kill targets on your own without relying on the entire team. And that brings us to today's question of the day. What are some other tanks in this game that you feel are better off played as a carry? Well, he isn't exactly a tank. My answer is Warwick. A lot of people build full tank on him at the moment, even going as far as building Sunfire on him. I personally enjoy building super offensive items on him, going for items like Sunderer, Death Stance, and even Blade of the Ruined King. But that's just me, we want to hear from you, so let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. Now without further ado, let's get back into the video. Moving things down to the bot lane, the first pick that we have for you is Twitch. I think that, when played right, he's possibly the very best ADC in the game right now for hard carrying games. Part of that is obviously due to his insane teamfighting damage, but for me, the more important trait that he has is his ability to be played as an assassin. No other ADC has the ability to just gank mid and pick up free kills after going for a reset, but with Twitch, you should be doing this every single game. It's pretty free, since no one really thinks about being ganked by an ADC. If you're playing against a super squishy enemy team, consider going for Gale Force and Collector as your core build for the super easy picks in the mid game. If you'd rather play who I think is the easiest ADC in the game, then maybe Misfortune is better for you. Her laning phase is super impressive, especially with the Comet Lethality build, easily bullying out other ADCs with her bursty trades. Post 6, if your support lands any CC, you can nuke any non-tank opponents with a simple ER combo without any other effort. Teamfighting is just as simple. If you're building crit, you'll be more auto-focused, but when you're building lethality, all you really need to do is find a good position and let the bullets fly. The last of our bot lane carries is Karthus. Even more than MF, he's an absolutely lane-dominant pick that almost entirely eliminates the concept of having to worry about a good support. Like with most mages, he's just really good at lane neutralizing. He has super good pushing power, so you can always force your opponents to their tower. They'll have two choices at this point, either accept defeat and farm under their tower, or force a fight on you. Handshaking to make it a farm lane is always going to be in your favor. No champion outscales Karthus for team fights, but forcing a 2v2 against you isn't really a good idea either. Karthus does a lot of damage as long as you can hit your Qs. Even if they kill you, you should be able to trade back at least one kill with your passive. Now to round things out with our supports, our first pick is Zilean. You're going to be giving up a lot of lane pressure by just locking in Zilean, but with how hard he scales, it's pretty worth it. No one enables their allies quite like him. The obvious part is his ultimate, with the revive being a direct counter to divers like Zed blowing up your ADC, but honestly, I think his E is the most broken part of his kit. Whether you're slowing down an enemy to a crawl, sending one of your divers into the backline at lightning speed, or just helping one of your backliners get better positioning, it's way overtuned. Our second support is Syndra. Contrary to Zilean, she's a super lane dominant pick. Usually, burst mages flop as support, since they have one-dimensional all-in all-the-time playstyles that need a snowball to be useful. But Syndra has both good poking power and high kill threat, so you can adapt to different ADC picks and playstyles. Plus, she has some added utility, with her W giving you a slow and her E giving you both a disengage and catch potential. Even on a support budget, she has the damage that you need to blow up squishy targets, so you're an extra threat that the enemy team has to worry about. Finishing off our list, we have Amumu. When he got changed last season, giving his Q 2 charges, Amumu became one of the most popular, highest win rate champions in the game. Honestly, I have no clue why he fell off in popularity since then. Yeah, I mean, they hit him with a nerf to his Q's base damage, but he's still an insanely strong support with good lockdown for both peeling and engaging fights. He's especially good with Samira, and since you got a pretty nice buff this patch, you definitely want to abuse this pair with a duo if you can. And that's it for our top 3 champions to main on patch 12.5. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure you sub so you never miss out on our meta guides, and you're always in the loop on what the best picks are. Remember to let us know what tanks you prefer to play as carries down in the comments below. Oh yeah, and one last thing, don't forget to check out our Discord in the description box below, where you can discuss League further or just hang out and be a part of the community. I can't wait to see you guys back in the next video, but until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.